What's a sign that somebody wasn't raised right? The word no just means throw a fit and be as obnoxious as you can be until you get your way. No does not mean that rules are rules or someone's job might be on the line. They are the important one, not anyone else. If they make messes in public areas and just wander off, leaving trash in a theater, not flushing, leaving the cart in a parking space, lack of personal accountability, they can never admit wrongdoing on their part. It's always someone else's fault. Not respecting personal boundaries. If you're wondering why someone has these sorts of issues, take a look at their parents. One rule for me, one rule for you. Parents that mess up on the discipline/accountability stage of parenting produce these people. Who are the guys who spit out their chewing gum into urinals? I see this all the time at work, and I work in a high-end corporate place. Do they think it dissolves and goes down the pipe? The janitor has to pick that out. How they act as a boss when their employee messes up. Yelling and belittling shouldn't be your first option. They always portray themselves as a victim. Nothing is ever their fault and somebody is always out to get them. I'd say on the other end of the spectrum, if someone is anxious about simple social interactions, like sharing their opinions, someone that does things to intentionally hurt another person's feelings after they've expressed that certain thing hurts their feelings, they whistle, snap their fingers, or make that PS sound to get their server's attention in a restaurant, turning conversation back to themselves at all cost. Being a good listener is a sign of a person raised well. They apologize for every little thing. Probably a sign that they grew up with abusive parents that got mad over anything and everything. We know someone that won't get a checking account/direct deposit because the banks just steal your money, and he takes his paycheck to a check cashing/payday loan shop instead. We also know his mom, who is in her mid-40s and on her third bankruptcy. They don't know how to do normal household stuff. I've seen people that don't even know how to make their own coffee or clean a toilet. They don't actually listen to what you're saying, are just trying to formulate a response. They don't say thank you to food servers. Someone brings you food, you say thanks. It ain't hard. Always pay attention to how someone treats service industry workers, animals, and young children. People who don't offer to help you clean up when they are visiting you. Like having friends over and them leaving you with all the beer bottles, bowls and glasses on the table. I don't mind cleaning up, but I always offer when at someone else's house. You make the mess together. Inviting themselves to others people's homes or gatherings. If you go to someone's house, and they cook for you, you eat it with a big smile and lots of thanks. Even if it was garbage. My wife brought her friend over for lunch. I made pierogies. She goes, "That's not a meal. That's a side," and goes to get Quiznos. Blew me away. Someone's hospitality is the deepest respect they can show you. You have to give it back. How conscientious you are of that scenario is a good sign on how you were raised. If someone thinks hurting or treat an animal inhumane is alright. I love animals, especially my cat and dog. I speak out when I see someone treating their dog poorly. It really reflects at dog parks and how their pet reacts. They gossip about others and will be vindictive behind people's backs, but pretend to be sweet to their face. Talking about themselves constantly, reverting every conversation back to them, etc., and not paying their full bill. They are a loner and socially awkward. I say this because I was neglected growing up and struggle with socializing. The way they treat an animal. If you're abusive to your pet, I have no sympathy for you. The amount of love that an animal can offer deserves the utmost respect. They don't ask for things. They expect things. I find this is usually the case for people who grew up very well off. They think handling a disagreement means shouting, attacking someone's character, name-calling or breaking things. Littering. It says a lot about a person. They have lack of self-control. They are lazy, they are entitled, they don't care how their actions affect others, they are dirty, they are selfish. Narcissism. It's a cascading failure since they have no self-esteem and will not take responsibility for their actions. It's a bit like having a frozen elbow. In this metaphor, a frozen elbow forces the other joints on either side of it to compensate for the work they are unwilling or unable to do, so the wrists and the shoulder must overdo and strain to do movement patterns they are not typically designed for, which creates problems in their movement patterns, and so those become messed up and then other compensations in the body go up and down the movement chain. Narcissism is very much like this since it externalizes all the costs of their unwillingness to others in society, in the same way that a frozen elbow does. Worse, outside the body metaphor, such inflexibility is often seen as strength since it is so single-minded and consistent. Imagine being so dumb to imagine that a broken clock being right twice a day is a strength and constitutes being consistent, but that's society today, and so others emulate this action purposefully, thus creating more and more self-justifying, self-rationalizing, ignorant and inflexible jerkwads claiming do your own research, when simultaneously knowing very little, yet against all obvious cause, produce more of themselves. They chase black men down with guns for jogging in their neighborhood. Additionally, they defend people who gun down black men for the crime of jogging through their white neighborhood. In college, I saw a classmate discard a paper cup, partly full of tea, by putting it on the roof of someone's car. When he suddenly realized the owner was in the car, talking on the phone, he picked up the cup and placed it on another car, whose owner was absent. Not dealing with their trash. People go up and down the road leading to my neighborhood, the dump for our half of the city is right next to it, and let their trash fly out. Makes me want to find an address in their trash and dump it on their porch. On a further note, smokers who don't take care of their waste. My neighbor smokes, and if a part of the package falls off he will let it lie. He will let the butt stay there if he does not see a trash can. It makes me want to thrash his throat. They think spanking kids is a good idea because they were spanked and turned out just fine. Except for wanting to hit children. But other than that, fine. They blame everyone but themselves for their problems and expect everyone but themselves to fix those problems. Pretty minor one, but they feel a need to explain their reasons for everything they do. Took a couple of years of living away from my parents before I realized nobody cares to hear my thought process behind every decision I make. I realized it was my parents when I went home for Christmas and noticed they ask, "What are you doing? Where are you going? And why did you do it like that?" all the time. If they voted for Obama, edit. LOL, it was a joke. If you voted for Obama you wouldn't have been raised on the right of the political spectrum. Raised right. Ha 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 ha. They don't have respect or manners for others. For example, always hold the door open for others coming through. Citing the Bible or religion in general, picking and choosing specifics while omitting the rest, to back up personal views, or as evidence in literally anything. This is not healthy behavior in 2020.